Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Let's talk about Star Pizza.
Hey, y'all, this is Ryan Monceaux, and this is Talkin Bout Them Brackets from GoCoogs.com. We're sponsored by Star Pizza, and U of H is the 1 seed in the Midwest, kind of a little trick from what we thought would happen, taking them to the West. But you do get Wichita, Indianapolis. Brad, what are your first thoughts about what you saw?
I like how we're set up. I really like our position.
What do you mean?
I like the matchup against Gonzaga in the second round, potentially.
Why?
I can't tell you anything about SI Sui.
Where is it located? Where is Edwardsville?
Edwardsville?
Isn't that what the school is? SIU Edwardsville?
I don't know.
Okay, well, we should figure that out first.
I'll learn it.
It's near St. Louis, so it's basically not even in Illinois.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we'll get caught up on that. I would assume that we would take care of business in that, but I'm looking at that second round. I like whoever comes out of Gonzaga and Georgia. I like the matchup. I really like the matchup with Gonzaga because it's a premier matchup, but it's one of those clash of styles that I think we can really, really wreak havoc in.
Yeah. This is kind of going to be similar to like a BYU game. If
BYU, Arizona, I mean, whoever, anybody who likes to go up tempo, this good luck.
Good luck.
If your goal is to make up your defense with speed or with running up and down as fast as possible,
good luck.
Wish you well.
Yep. Galen played in a game at 3:00. That's why he's not here. He'll be here in just a bit. We're working to get a guest for a little bit later to talk about this, but there's a lot going on within the program today with their event that they had at the Post Oak Hotel, and they've got 48 hours before they leave to go to Wichita. So we'll see. Maybe. Yes, I'm getting a note here. We're working to try to get a guest. What do you think about this Midwest region? Pull up your screen and let's take a look at the games or the teams that you'll be facing in this region.
Let's see here. We're over here on the right.
So your top 4 seeds are Houston, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Purdue. The 5, I don't remember the 5. It's Clemson, and then 6 is Illinois. So shout out to the committee for giving Purdue, Kentucky, and Illinois basic home games if they make it to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
From Indianapolis, it's 65 miles to Purdue. It's 125 miles to Illinois. It's 189 miles to Kentucky. All of those are,
I think they might sell out.
Going to Huntsville or going to San Antonio or Austin. And then Houston is 1,014 miles, which is just a little bit further. I think somebody said it on the CBS show that McNeese is going to beat Clemson.
Would not surprise me one bit.
Nope, not at
It
all.
wouldn't. Hey, watch out for
I
High
think
Point.
Clemson has some really good athletes. We saw them in person last year in Memphis, and I was very impressed with the athletes they had. But man, I really like Will Wade. I don't understand this High Point thing. Why you would pick them over Purdue?
I got to pick a 13 somewhere in the bracket. So I mean, High Point sounds good. Purdue is known for just puking all over itself.
Fair.
They don't have the Canadian Yao Ming to carry them there anymore.
The Canadian Yao Ming, he says, Illinois is going to get the winner of Texas Xavier. There is not much better in this tournament than Texas in the first four in Dayton, Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know what day they're playing. And then being in U of H's region. I like that quite a bit. You get Mick Cronin in this region. Tennessee, which, you know, they have played really well here. They get Wofford. Wofford's a little bit of an interesting team. I don't know how a 19 and 15 team out of that conference is a 15. That's kind of weird to me. But there were some draws that kind of surprised you. Someone's Sweet 16 streak is going to end. Gonzaga has one. Houston has one. I don't know.
Good point.
Yep.
I'm just really hoping, you know, and I don't say this often, really hoping for a Texas win and maybe two, beat Xavier, beat Illinois, and give Rodney Terry an extension, baby. I mean, that would be
Rodney
the most Texas thing ever.
He needs 5 more years to get this done.
At least
if they beat Xavier, they get Illinois. My guy Brad Underwood and that enormous bottle of Grecian hair formula that he carries around. His teams play so hard. I never understand them. They don't make any sense to me. But you got to love the way they play. Here are my just quick notes. Of the 4 regions, if you look at the net going into today, Houston has the easiest of the 4 draws, the 4 regions, if you're comparing the top 4 seeds. Houston, Tennessee, Kentucky, Purdue versus what Auburn got, Michigan State, Iowa State, and A&M. Duke got Bama, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Florida gets St. John's Tech in Maryland. Shout out to Maryland having to go cross country. I think they have to. Where are they at? Seattle? I think I saw on Friday. That's not great. I do like the potential of potentially some games with Kansas, or not Kansas. I'm sorry, with Arkansas and John Calipari and Rick Pitino at St. John's. What else stands out to you in the Midwest region here? Besides Illinois playing a blank line, I like that. I like their chances.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at this. I think we got a really manageable and attractive path all the way through. I don't see a lot of chaos down in the lower bracket because I
don't like seeing Purdue potentially in a Sweet 16 game. Now that's assuming Purdue gets through Will Wade and High Point, who apparently is everybody's new darling.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not buying them.
Okay.
I'm not buying them. But the very bottom down with Kentucky and Tennessee. I mean, I think that side of the bracket runs through those two.
Yeah. UCLA is even going to lose that first game or be in a complete dogfight with Tennessee in the second game. They're hard to figure out, but Mick Cronin, if he's not already at Indiana by the time the tournament starts, I don't know.
Is that who they're narrowing it down to?
Everybody you've been told they're narrowing it down to has taken themselves out.
Wow. So he's the only one that hadn't officially taken himself out?
The guy from Drake, I think, is one of those guys. But if you're dipping down to Drake, the guy that's his first year, I think there. Let's look at, and thank you all for all joining us on YouTube. We just tried something different. Just do YouTube today. May play with that going forward. This is no different than us getting A&M last year in the round of 32. It's March. Nothing is easy. So 2 years ago, you got Auburn in Birmingham. That was no picnic. Last year, you got A&M in Memphis. You went to overtime with them. That 1-8 game can be rough. And when you see teams or one seeds going out, a lot of times it's in that game. Go ahead.
I guess in my mind, when I look at kind of the road to Monday, is I have a hard time getting over the difficulty of when we had Illinois in the second round, and then Arizona, and then Villanova. So I look at everything through that lens of we had on our way to the Final Four previously, we had things fall right for us, and then we had everything fall against us since then. And so, I think we've got a really, really good path right now.
Okay.
Galen, what's up?
Robinson.
Welcome.
Yeah, it was good, man.
You played a little today.
Yeah.
Got some shots off.
Got our butts whipped, though. So,
Yeah. Well,
it is.
Seems like that happens.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on what you see on the bracket? First thoughts.
A bunch of undeserving teams made it.
We haven't gotten to that quite yet, but we will. What about the Midwest? Houston's draw. Tell me all you know about Southern Illinois at Edwardsville. I'm already screwing this up. What do you know about them?
I know they earned their way to be an NCAA tournament team. One thing I do know.
The first ever in the school's history. They haven't been at this level very long, but
welcome to Thunderdome.
So this kid, he's a year older than me. Brian Baroni. Do you remember Tony Baroni at A&M? Is his dad, and so that's who you're facing in that first round. He played at A&M for his dad, and then he played at Marquette, and he's kind of been all over. Green Bay, Illinois State, Butler Community College in Kansas, and SIUE. Been there 5 or 6 years. Galen, what about that second game, that Gonzaga-Georgia game, potential of playing Gonzaga in the Sweet 16, or excuse me, in the round of 32?
That's a team that's accustomed to winning. But obviously they probably haven't had the type of success or the type of year that we're accustomed to Gonzaga having, but they still have winning pedigree, a winning coach, damn near Hall of Fame coach. So
he has to be.
Yeah.
I don't know how he wouldn't be.
Yeah, but so I just feel like fortunate enough to win, and if we see them in the second round, we're going to have our hands full because that is a ball club that has winning DNA.
What do you think Gonzaga is in the net? They're an 8 seed.
Probably top 100, I would assume.
Yeah, they're number 8. And they're an 8 seed. 5-5 quad 1, 25-8 overall. They play in kind of a weak conference, but the number 8 team in the net is an 8 seed in your region. That is it's kind of I mean, if the net matters as much as they say it does, what is that?
I think you're going to see a push for an overhaul of the net.
That's great. I like the idea.
Only because so many teams have kind of figured it out.
Yeah. Beat the shit out of teams supposed to beat the shit out of. Yeah.
I mean, well, I'll save my we'll talk about the other undeserved.
Okay.
But also that's a game Gonzaga can 100% win lose, because
to Georgia.
You get that 8-9 draw. Those are the teams that worry me the most, just because they usually come from a bigger conference, but they kind of underachieved, but they're full of talent. Like they're the type of teams that they've probably beaten the top teams in their conference, and they've also lost to probably some of the worst teams in their conference. So those 8-9s is just so tricky, because those teams, they have dudes, real dudes.
We're going to find out if the SEC is for real. Georgia is an 8 or a 9. I think Oklahoma is a 9. They're playing UConn in the first round. Texas scraped in somehow. 14 teams is a lot. And frankly, it's way too many, and it should not happen. You should not be allowed to go 6
out of how many?
16. LSU and South Carolina, I guess, got left out. I think it's South Carolina. LSU was pretty easy to come up with.
I mean, even though you got in, well, like I said, I don't want to take us off the rails.
Well, there's no rails today. Let's just do what we want to do. What about the other end of that bracket, Galen? The 4 Purdue, the 3 Kentucky, and the 2 Tennessee. I mean, these aren't easy. You're not going to have an easy road. Whatever Towns doesn't quite agree with me, but
yeah.
What do you think of what you got here?
That's why we play. Shit, we want to play the best and beat the best. It is what it is. At the end of the day, shit, it's us versus them. We got to take it one game at a time. But that Tennessee team, that team is good. That is a good
they
team.
are.
Very much so.
A question here in the chat. Are they the Salukis, or is that a different SIU? That's a different team. Edwardsville is the Cougars. So you're playing your second Cougar squad in 3 games. The 8-9 game, Gonzaga Bulldogs, the Georgia Bulldogs. So a little funny going on there.
How many teams did we get in the tournament?
The Big 12, 7.
And it's Houston, Texas Tech, Arizona, BYU, Iowa State. That's 5. Who were the last 2? Kansas.
It's so weird that we forget Kansas now.
And then is it Baylor or West Virginia?
Baylor is in. West Virginia got left out.
Yeah, they were the bubble.
It's because they lost to Colorado in the conference tournament, and you're not going to convince me otherwise.
They got bumped by shit-tastic North Carolina, and
that's what I'm saying. It's like
North Carolina was Texas. The last team in, I think.
Of course.
I mean, we all know that North Carolina had no. I don't know of a single metric that states that they should be in there other than their net, and that's it. But Texas, the thing that pisses me off the most about Texas being in there is their out-of-conference schedule was about as bad as it could possibly be. I don't think a non-conference schedule can be worse than what they scheduled. So I mean, it was really from the get go. It was built to game the system.
Well, a lot of people say that U of H has done that.
That's evil.
6-12 in a conference, 7-10 in quad one games. A lot of rewarding of losing to good teams. Arkansas got it. They were 5-10 in quad one. Oklahoma was 7-11 against quad one. Xavier made it into the play-in game 1-9 versus quad one. I just, you can't say that metric means anything anymore.
No.
And because it just doesn't seem that it's a real thing. North Carolina was 1-12 in quad one. You just
in a bad
bad conference.
Bad conference.
Yeah.
But see, we're now at the point. I mean, we always knew that, big names carry favor, but we're now at the point that the NCAA is whoring itself out so much, and the schools are exerting so much more financial pressure that, I mean, we are just a couple of steps away from being the WWE.
I think that might be a little much, but okay. Play that out. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, the obviously North Carolina has no business in this deal. Texas barely, but they're always going to get the nod because, one, bigger name, everybody knows them. It also helps that North Carolina's president was the chairman of the selection committee. The explanation was they asked him immediately about it, and he's like, well, I really had to step out of the room, so I'm going to turn that over to my colleague over here. Let him answer that. It's like, okay, well, that's shady as fuck, but there is bias in that. But it also comes down to money, because you know that they're going to buy tickets. And
wait, who's going to buy tickets?
North Carolina and Texas.
Well, if they win in Dayton, they go to Milwaukee, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you're not betting on them making something happen in Milwaukee. Kentucky's in Milwaukee, Illinois is in Milwaukee. That region that destination is going to sell out. Also, Iowa State is in Milwaukee. So
that is sad, bro.
And they're going to be on TV, which they can then continue to sell more commercials and have more eyeballs and more streaming numbers. I mean, that's where we are.
Okay.
I mean, that's the exact reason why you see the slow buildup of more and more people calling for an expansion of the tournament. So we can get more SEC teams in there, more teams who don't belong there, more ACC teams there. I mean, with the ACC having fewer teams in there this year, there's going to be a bigger call for them to do that. Well, I mean, the ACC next year is going to, do the natural extension of, okay, we're going to schedule like the University of Texas. We're going to have the 354th worst schedule in the country. We can backdoor in. Doesn't matter how many games we win. I mean, we can.
The games you lose ain't gonna hurt you because it's gonna be against. Wow, it's crazy. Getting in for losing to good teams.
It's bring everybody into the regular season that at 12-1. Have your top teams play a good schedule and hopefully win those. But if nothing else, they get to leech on the high RPI and net of the team that they played, and then that trickles down to the lowers. Let the lowers play the rest of the scrubs in the country.
So who was the overall number one?
Auburn.
Okay, makes sense.
They got the top four right. I mean,
yeah.
Houston was third, Duke was 2, and Florida was 4.
Yeah, they had a monster of a schedule.
They kind of, if you believe that they do this, the fifth team goes to the fourth team. They have St. John's with Florida and Tennessee with Houston. Obviously, that is to avoid Tennessee and Florida in the same region. But whatever. Some questions. Can we talk about Memphis getting a 5? Everybody was worried that you would get them in a 1-8 game, and somehow they move all the way to 5. I think that's pretty surprising. But it shows you how much that conference has fallen, that you can win the conference and the conference tournament and get a 5 now. Used to get a 1.
A 30-win team. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. So, there's only one team from the American that made it.
I think so. UAB did not. Yeah, I don't think anybody else did. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see.
As much as I don't like Memphis, I think they earned the reward because they scheduled like they really wanted.
They always schedule really well. They ended up 6-1 in quad 1, which is not anything special, but they won the games.
Well, the fact that you're 6-1 and they had the best non-conference schedule in the country.
Okay. San Diego
that carries weight with me. If you schedule up like that,
they definitely should have been.
They have to, because their conference is so bad now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're basically a 1 or 2 bid league now. So San Diego State only got in due to the Houston win. I think they were in the last 4 in, and their net was, I think, 52 now. Ended up 20-9 on the season. They didn't play a full complement of D1 games. Okay. That's the spot West Virginia could have had, I think, if San Diego State does not beat Houston. Real UT Hoops fans will follow their women's team. There you go. Let's move on and look at some of the other regions for a minute.
I'm trying to see where I can see the full bracket.
You can go to @March Madness on Twitter and I think get it there.
All right.
That's March Madness MBB.
Which one do you want to look at?
Let's look at Auburn first. They're the one. This region, the thing that shocked me the most is Louisville.
Just being an 8. That is crazy.
I think that's a really good Louisville team.
That is I wouldn't be surprised if there was an upset there.
I think it's a good Creighton team too.
Yeah, Creighton.
I think
7
from a strength to strength, that's probably one of the most intriguing matchups I see on the board in the first round.
At 8-9 is always going to be a dogfight.
I mean, those are 2 quality teams that you probably don't want to face in the second round.
Not at all. This is Louisville's new head coach. It's his first year or second year?
Yep, first year.
I got the coach, man.
Gets an 8. Michigan, who wins the Big Ten title today, gets a 5. But that 3 is Iowa State, and the 4 is Texas A&M. And I'm going to tell you something.
I feel like that Iowa State is right. They're a 3 seed team.
Yeah, I think they're a 3 or a 4. They got a higher seed than Arizona. Kind of surprising. But, okay.
Michigan State being a 2. Yeah, that makes sense.
A&M has a Yale team in Denver on Thursday. and that's a tricky one. But in that second game, they would get Michigan or UC San Diego, who's in their first year being eligible, and put up some crazy numbers. Like, they're in the Big West. They only went 2-1 in the in Quad 1, but they ended up 28-4 overall, 12-2 on the road, and 5-0 neutral. So, 17 wins away from home. That's pretty legit. I don't know if I'm wanting to face them in the first round. And then A&M could possibly get Yale, who's a really solid defensive team, hard-nosed, or UC San Diego in that second game. So you've got Auburn, Michigan State, Iowa State, and A&M in that region. I don't know about that one. Michigan State can, they can do it.
That's another program I respect. Tom Izzo is. Yeah.
If you're one of those people that only cares about winning national titles, well, he's won one. So he hasn't really lived up to what you want. But, I mean, they win that conference quite a bit, and legit national program.
Legit.
I don't see any game. New Mexico at 10 was surprising to me. I don't understand that one. I think they're a little better than that. But Marquette at 7, that's also – it feels – like they're a little better than that. They're 26 in the RPI. They were 6-8 in Quad 1. So maybe it's right. It just feels like they've been hyped all year. If you go down to the East towns, this is Duke. Alabama is the 2 there. Wisconsin is the 3. Arizona is the 4. Arizona wins that first game. Oregon wins their first game, and you got a Pac-12 matchup in that second round. Baylor is the 8th. They play Mississippi State in the first game, and then get Duke in the second. I don't know what to think about Mississippi State. It could be okay. They might not be.
They are.
I would think against a normal Drew team, I would think that they'd be in trouble, but Baylor's just so all over the place.
Yeah, you don't know who you're getting there.
I mean, their parts seem really, really, really good.
Yeah,
then you look at how they've performed, it's like, man, what the hell?
Jamie Hollingsworth texted me a bit ago to say Iowa State back in Auburn in the South has lost Keyshawn Gilbert for the year. I don't know if that derails your season or not, but
very much so.
Exactly what you want to hear at this point.
Very much so.
I mean, I know everybody loves Bum Silovich, but I think Keyshawn Gilbert's one of the best players in the conference.
Well, was.
Yeah. But
well, he ain't dead.
Yeah, rest in peace, Keyshawn Gilbert, dead at the age of 19. Yeah. Shout out to Jamie, by the way. Here's his setup. He's got all the other TVs off. Watching, talking about them brackets.
Ominous.
Very ominous. Brad, take the bracket down for just a minute and put us all 3 up. Star Pizza. What you doing? What you got? Star Pizza. All week, you need to get in there and a lunch special, Monday through Friday. Tuesdays and Fridays is a buffet. I think I fly out Wednesday to Wichita. So Townsend and I might be at the buffet on Tuesday. Come join us. Don't talk to us, but come join us and have a good time. Enjoy you some Star Pizza. 3 locations, Katy in Shepherd 59 in Washington, at Harvard.
It's
Buffalo Heights.
I always say it's good for celebration. It's good to to drown your sorrows. You know what else it's good for? It's good for breakfast. Star pizza with a fried egg. Boom.
Money in the bank.
Boom. Try it, folks.
It's kind of hard to pick an upset.
Yeah.
What?
When do we find out the times for the first round games? That'll happen later tonight. They're going to mix and match. I don't think U of H is going to get any special treatment on that first game, but if they're with Gonzaga in that second game, I think that'll be a primetime game. So there you go. In terms of upsets, pull that bracket back up, Towns.
Too small. Here we go.
If I were looking for a game on Friday, I'm going probably Grand Canyon over Maryland. I just think that's a really good team. And then in Wichita, which we'll see Thursday, I think Drake beats Missouri in a 6-11 game.
I mean, would you be really surprised if in the second round you saw Grand Canyon versus Colorado State?
No, not at all. I think Colorado State can beat Memphis. I mean, that's a perfect 12-5 matchup. If you're looking for other 12-5s, Liberty over Oregon and Seattle, probably not.
San Diego,
And
Michigan.
then McNeese over Clemson in Providence. I think that's possible.
Mm-hmm. McNeese is severely undersized.
Okay.
But who knows, man? You never know. Wow. It's pretty cool.
I mean, I think watch out for Lipscomb.
You couldn't tell me the first flipping thing about Lipscomb.
I think Iowa State's in a bad way. They're not who they were.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else about Lipscomb?
No, it's all about Iowa State, and
Okay.
I'm assuming they're going to win, but
That's a
they've
big
lived on the our player is hurt excuse for a while now.
Are we talking about Texas Tech now? Who we got?
No, Iowa State.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I get confused sometimes.
You know, I mean, it's when you start living on that excuse instead of moving past it, it seeps into the psyche of the team, and they play to it.
Maybe. So you lived in Nashville for a bit, so
Yep.
you know Lipscomb a little bit. Do you even know their mascot?
No,
Okay. All right. Did you know they were in Nashville?
no.
Okay.
I thought they were outside of Nashville.
They're in Nashville. Also, shout out. I got my Stats by Starn shirt on tonight. It's obviously laundry day here in the Monceaux household. So shout out Stats by Starnes, our favorite Muppet. In looking at any other upsets, Utah State and UCLA, I think they could win that game. They could get boat raced. It could go either way.
I mean,
BYU and VCU. I think VCU could hammer BYU.
That's the interesting thing is you've got a lot of matchups that are like a clash of styles.
Yeah.
So it's like who's
BYU
lost,
going to
who's
be a
gonna
tough
win?
out, man. They're going to be a tough out, especially
They
after
are.
losing in the way that they did in the conference. Like they're going to be a tough out. And I feel like if they make it past VCU, they're beating whoever they play next. I think so.
I mean, I
That would
definitely
be
hope
Wisconsin and
Yeah,
Denver.
I think so.
I would like to see the BYU Wisconsin because it could resemble an NBA game where there's not an ounce of defense played and they see who can shoot the best, and it's a 115 to 105 type scenario.
In their part of that bracket, they get VCU, Wisconsin, and Montana in Denver. That is a perfect setup for BYU. Wisconsin, I've heard that they're the highest scoring Wisconsin team ever, which means they average about 52. But I don't think they're going to play with BYU, especially in that elevation. It's just tricky, especially playing 2 games in elevation if you're not accustomed to it. So that's my thoughts on upsets. I don't know what y'all have on that.
Well, I mean, if we're going big upsets, I would not be surprised to see Auburn get dumped in the second round.
I mean, that's a tough one with Louisville and Lexington. This could be Auburn getting Auburned. It was the first thing I
really think they're running into they got 2 things going against them now. If they can overcome this, then watch out. But they're in a bad way right now. They're limping into the tournament, and then they got that matchup. I would not want that matchup for us in the second round.
Wait, so Louisville and Creighton, they're the 4, 8, 9. Since Auburn's the number 1 overall one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's how you would say it, but at some point, the NCAA only cares about putting teams in certain regions and fucking with people, and I think that's what Louisville being in that spot is.
That is going to be a monster of a game. It's going to be a home game.
Yeah, it really is. That's a hard one.
So what was it being a number 1 overall one? If you win in another, that's crazy. That's shitty.
Okay, we got a little announcement at 7:10. Kelvin Samson will join us right here. So a little less than 30 minutes from now, Kelvin will join us. I've been trying on this for a couple days, and we finally got it hammered down right this second. So very thankful to him for coming on. So Galen, have about 30 questions. Good luck.
Shit, all you need is about 3. He gonna talk for 30
No, you need 1. Yeah, right. You need 1.
Talk for 30 minutes.
And I want you, when he comes on, I want you to tell him, Galen, look, Kelvin, you've got a 60-second limit on this answer.
Nah.
Just see how that goes.
Absolutely not, brother. Absolutely not. With my dead body. Oh.
And let's look at the only one we haven't looked at, I think, is Duke in the East.
I'm going to get a pen. Hold on.
Or did we look at this? We did look at this, huh? I guess we've gone through all 4. Duke is the 1. Bama is the 2. Wisconsin the 3. Arizona the 4. I'm going to tell you, this is the biggest deal for Auburn and Duke. Both got this same treatment. Auburn is in Atlanta. They're the only team really from the old South. You get Michigan State, Iowa State, and A&M as your other top 4 seeds. Duke, who has an entire fan base in the Northeast because they play at Madison Square Garden like 11 times a year.
Or East Rutherford.
Yeah, and or Brooklyn. And they're in, I believe, in Newark. Is that where that region is? I can't even remember. Yeah, Newark. Okay. I was thinking I was just going crazy. And they get Bama and Wisconsin and Arizona as their top 4. That's as good as it could get for them. Meanwhile, Houston gets 3 teams within 160 miles of Indianapolis. In Florida, St. John's, Tech, and Maryland. That's a frequent flyer mile region out west in San Francisco. That you could see weird shit happen in San Francisco just because how goofy that is. Let's take this bracket off and just have the 3 of us. Galen, I need you to do some work here.
Star Pizza. Good
There you
people.
go.
Better pizza.
Nailed it.
Damn.
Y'all look through some comments and see if anything you like. I'm going to do a little work here.
Let me scroll backwards.
Damn. Coach, you're going to need about 3 good questions. And he's going to talk.
Hey, I had a smoothie too.
Is there any questions that any fans want us to ask him? Like any people watching? Like just pick out the one or two best questions?
Yeah, let's see what we got in there. See what we get on that.
Do you practice free throws? That's obviously the first thing you want to ask.
Do you have any new inbounds plays?
Yeah. Coach, what have you done to get better? Is the right question to ask at this point.
Sometimes through your darkest days come your brightest light. Wow.
Iowa State will become a cautionary tale about changing the focus away from defense. You know, I don't know how that happened throughout the season. And watching them, it just looks like they got caught up thinking that they wanted to run with people. They got into the flow of the game and let everybody else dictate the pace. And they said, sure, we'll run with you too, because we think we can score. I don't know. I thought it was really strange to see, especially with the point guard like Lipsy. You'd think he would be able to control the pace a little bit. T.I. says, part of me wants a crack at Michigan, payback and all that.
I mean, it's been a while. Those kids don't really know anything about that.
I think we've done, and I think we've spent a lot of time and effort trying to scrub Michigan out of our heads.
Yeah, accurate. I was late to this show. Might have already discussed Gonzaga is a 9 as a top 10 Kim Pom. We talked about that.
That is literally.
I didn't know that was an 8-syllable word. Go ahead.
I'm saying that's just wild as hell. That's wild.
Is it just thinking, has there been such a disconnect between Ken Pom and the net as it has been this year?
What do you mean?
Well, it seems like Ken Pom
it's not aligning. Yeah,
is way out of whack with the net.
Okay. I really haven't paid any attention to that. Gonzaga's the 9 in the Ken Pom. They're the 9 in the net. I mean,
so what value is the net then?
You've talked about it all year, but what does it mean? I don't know. It's to justify some and then to be ignored for others.
Well, and now when you talk about Q1 and Q2 losses, wins and losses, Q1 is kind of losing its meaning, especially when you talk about Q1, you're putting in potential, hey, I beat number 74 on the road versus I beat number 1 at home, and their counting is the same.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how you split that up. I think Torvik does the Q1A. But I think that, I don't know, it just seems.
Do y'all think that when you beat a team, and let's say at the time you beat them, they were a Q1 team as opposed to a month later they might not be? Do you think that whenever you beat them, whatever time you beat them, that should be what goes on the specific record and whatnot, like in regards to it being a Q1 win or Q2 win, Because there was a couple of people that we had beat who were quad 1 when we beat them, and then they weren't. So it's just like, I just don't agree. Like, you know what I'm saying? That just.
Yeah, but then you got to look at the other side of it, and especially if you're going to credit higher ranked wins, because then you got a place where, at the beginning of the year for the first couple of months, you got Kansas as a top 5 team. And then they prove to be what they really are by the end of the season, and they're nowhere close.
But it's like, if you beat them, that was still considered a quad one, so it's like, why wipe that away from a team if y'all thought they were good enough to be ranked top 5?
I mean, yeah, but
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just because then we have a couple of teams that we had beat and they were quad ones when we won them, and then they weren't.
I think we saw San Diego State and West Virginia kind of bouncing in and out of the quad 1, quad 2 discussion. But yeah, you're gonna have those, but the range is so big because they're weighted. They're all weighted different. Q1 is different at home versus road versus neutral court. Was it road is up to 74, 75. Neutral court is up to 50 and home is 25.
30.
So you got a really wide range. I don't know. I just think they need to dial it in.
I'm gonna look at some comments.
Wait, before we do that, how do y'all feel
damn.
about our draw? Our draw. How do y'all feel about that? I don't think I've asked y'all.
I think
like it.
You're okay with the first round. The 8-9 is not great. Clemson as a 5, Purdue is a 4, but McNeese is right there, and whatever High Point is.
Sure.
I mean, I think it's a solid region. You're going to have to beat some people to make a Final Four. You're never ever going to get a draw like you did in 2021, where all the higher seeds just crap all over themselves. That's just never going to happen again. So you're going to have to beat some good teams, and if you're going to Indianapolis, you're going to have to beat Midwest, teams in Indianapolis where they play all the time.
That's just tough.
I mean, if the top seeds play as they are, I really like our shot coming through here. Tennessee's is a tough matchup because they're going to be kind of like playing Iowa State last year. I think they're very much mirrored
similar
to what
team.
we do.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't really have a feel for Kentucky. I think they're.
I watched them play a lot because McHale, he's
Yeah.
the assistant coach there, and it's just score a lot of points. Can't really stop any. Like, their games are always exciting because the scores are always in close to the hundreds. So it's kind of similar to BYU, as we're gonna just try to outscore you. It ain't really no stops. That's in our game plan. But they're a team that has a lot of firepower. But I think that if we were to see them, we're leaps and bounds a tougher team. Like, it's.
You're going to have an issue with crowd if you face Kentucky in Indianapolis, because that arena is going to be completely blue.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean,
that's what you sign up for.
Well,
if you make it to San Antonio, that arena is going to be pretty red.
Yeah, but I think this team going to Texas Tech, to Kansas, to Arizona, coming out on top, I think they're kind of battle tested as far as fan goes.
100%.
You're not going to get much louder than those arenas, especially the heat that Texas Tech brought.
Yeah.
Allen Fieldhouse is what it is.
Yeah. Now, can we praise Roy?
Yes, we can.
Roy has arrived. Wow. Good pull, Roy. Oh, shit. Y'all got the GOAT coming on 100, which I didn't know the people were still using that. Somebody posted, Roy has entered the chat. I don't know who that was. But yeah, we're going to look at some questions. Galen's got some questions. I have a question for him. What the heck is there to do in Wichita besides watch our team play? Last year we got to go to Graceland and witness a robbery. You can witness robberies, I guess. I would watch, you've got some interesting teams that are going to be in that region or in that location, not region. Tech will be there. Missouri, Drake, Gonzaga, Georgia. Some interesting games. There's a casino north of. I'm staying in a casino, so I'm worried about how that's going to go. And then you watch games, I would guess. I mean, I think that's what college basketball people do is watch games.
I mean, do they have any kind of like? I would assume they'd have some kind of nightlife post game or something like that.
I could just never forget our first time going to Wichita State. Well, yeah, Wichita State. They had a cemetery across from their gym. That was the weird that they all disrupting the dead. That was the weirdest shit I ever seen. Very eerie. Very eerie. Which coach?
Okay.
It's like you better win or you get stuck out there.
Leave you there.
Leave you right there, Galen, if you don't play well.
We got our ass beat.
that was back in the day when Wichita State was really good.
They had Shamet, they had Austin Reeves, they had Shaq, they had some dudes on that team. Some dudes, and Greg Marshall.
Boy, they fell.
Oh, speaking of the hair.
He was like the most weirdest combination of balding while having hair.
And having it bleached, or not bleached, but
that was wicked. Like, brother, let it go.
Does it help that it's a football stadium opposed to a basketball arena in terms of hostile crowd noise? So when they played regionals at NRG, I believe they curtained off half of it. And so you only got half of the stadium. And so it didn't feel like it was a loud crowd, but I don't know if the crowds were like they're going to be here. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I had forgot. I thought they were playing it in another arena. I didn't realize it was going to be at Lucas Oil. But U of H has had some success in that state. You went to a Final Four playing all your games in and around Indianapolis 5 years ago. Even Dickie V questioning UNC being in. Okay.
Shout out to him.
Go ahead, Towns.
I think we got something for you here from Big Papa Pump.
Oh boy. Ride scooters. Your boy does not ride scooters. I had a.
Could you see Scotty Steiner on a scooter?
No. There might have been some roids there.
For some reason, Scott Steiner got in my algorithm on YouTube, and every few shorts I look at, it's some kind of interview with him.
Yeah, I'm actually. We must have like a similar feed because I get that quite a bit too. Do you think Gonzaga is the best 8 seed? So your 8 seeds are Gonzaga, Louisville, Mississippi State,
and
UConn. I think I would put them in Louisville in one ranking and then put UConn and Mississippi State a little lower. Is that kind of fair?
I think so. Yeah.
I would rather face a Louisville team with a coach with less experience than a Gonzaga team with a coach with a lot of experience.
Yes.
That's just me. I think that
A
coaching
lot of
does matter
experience in big
in the
games.
tournament. Yeah. So here's some questions about travel schedule. How will y'all scout the two games? You scout games kind of the same. You in the tournament, you have one assistant coach work on the first game, another assistant coach on the second. That assistant coach and another assistant coach will watch the other game, the Georgia Gonzaga game, in the arena, and they'll have the video people cutting that up immediately. Kelvin will focus on one game at a time. That's just what he does. He's not a look ahead. So I think that's pretty much. Jawan is old enough to have been in Indy 5 years ago. Accurate. What are the odds Kelvin sets up a court inside NRG if the Cougs get to the second weekend? 0? I mean, he's just going to do what he does. You'll go to Indianapolis probably that Tuesday, so it's not like you'll have a lot of time to mess with something like that.
Galen, what is the normal? I guess what is your normal routine whenever you go to a regional? Like you take off, of course, you're out of here, and then once you
You
get
play
there,
Tuesday or Thursday.
Yeah, I'd say it's just at that time of the year is you are who you are. And so
Right.
I remember it's crazy. I found a camera and I was watching some of our old videos before we played. Was it Georgia State when Ron Hunter was there? But it's a lot more of a mental tune-up than it is. Oh, we got to get up and down and we got to do all this stuff. So the scouting report is very detailed, and it's a lot to remember because at the end of the day, it is win or go home, and everybody that's in the tournament can beat you, regardless of who they are and what seed they are. Like it's no tomorrow. So it was just very detailed, and we through how our mindset going into the tournament. I remember we were just all straight business. Like it was us or them, and right at the point they are now, it's a team full of guys that have kind of been there and done that. So when you got a veteran-led group, it could be more settling. But none of us really knew what to expect because we'd never been there. So I think that's a great advantage that our team has is like you have guys who have won at a high level, and they're no stranger to winning. So they've been to. We have guys that have seen everything, so that's good for us to have on our side. But those scouting reports, man, they were down to the T. This guy does this, well, he doesn't do this. It was so specific, and that's one thing I'll never forget. Like the bigs had to know what the guards did well, so they know what coverages to call in pick and roll. If he was a slide guy, or if we wanted to trap him, corral, like whatever the case may be. So it's like it was very detailed. And I think that's also what gives us the edge because our coaches, they go through film like crazy.
So when you're going through or you do the scouting report, so y'all are going through it as a team,
Mm-hmm.
and I would assume that probably takes a couple hours at least. Do y'all then? I mean, do you get to are you taking the scouting report with you and then kind of studying it?
Yeah.
Up until game time.
Yeah, but also like
or maybe like the guards are getting more with Q and
no, it's all well. At least when I was there, we all watched it together, and so it was the amount of detail. It's crazy, and that's why in the tournament you don't have that much time to prepare for your second game because it could be Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday. So you have one day to prepare for a team who you haven't paid attention to all year. And that is a lot to go over. That's a lot of material to ingest. And it's just like that's why the tournament is as entertaining as it is, because you can never go over everything.
Okay. I'm looking for time. Somebody said that you play at 11, but I don't see that anywhere else. 3 straight years on the 1 seed is not being talked about enough. Just crazy impressed with this Houston program. Duarte told us the other day that it was 7 teams that have done this since they went to this format in 79. And it happened a couple times with Duke and Kansas, North Carolina maybe. DePaul was one. It's a big deal. But you've got to get through that Sweet 16 to make it really count. So there you go. I was missing the Star Pizza. We apologize for not talking about that early enough. Star Pizza. Get you some Star Pizza. Good people. And great food. Brad, how did your Star Pizza? You were texting me at 3:00 this morning, so I assume that you may have.
No, it was
eaten
great.
All night. Okay.
No, man, I ate it and I was asleep. I was asleep within 10 minutes after that. I woke up fired up at 3 a.m. Man, I was up watching film, dude. I had to rewatch the game from last night. Then I had to watch the post-game ceremony. I watched that second feed that had the post-game ceremony, and they showed a lot of that ref cam. For people that might have watched that feed during the game, I feel sorry for them. But from a rewatch, it was kind of cool to see.
Okay.
And then, of course, my pizza breakfast.
2:00 Eastern, 1:00 Central. I have never heard of any of the announcers we're going to get. Tom McCarthy, Deb Antonelli, Steve Smith, and AJ Ross.
Deb Antonelli.
Have I?
Well, you probably muted her.
Okay. I don't remember. Okay. So that's your game at 1:00 on Thursday in Wichita. Most teams can't adequately prepare for our defense in one day. I think that's fair. But we'll just
it's not even the
see.
defense, it's just the physicality, the length, the athleticism,
speed.
Yeah, it's that's why teams in conference they have an advantage because they see us multiple times for those who do. But it's just for the teams who are on the other side of the country, like it's your first time playing us. You may think that there are these holes and these gaps in what you can see through film. But the biggest difference is when it's up close and personal and we're there, it's overwhelming. Like I remember playing against UCF and you can see how tall Taco Fall was on film. It did not compare to seeing him in person. Remember they showed a picture. He was like kneeling down, checking in. We were both about to check in. And me and him were damn near the same height. He was like on a knee, just waiting to check in, and I was standing up, and we were almost the same height. And it's just like he stood up. I can raise
Conrad
him.
Cam.
It was crazy.
Joining us, Kelvin Samson. Coach, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. This is Galen. You may remember him.
Yeah, I remember Galen.
What's up, Coach?
What's up, G?
What are some first thoughts about your draw to start off here?
Well, I'm familiar with the coach for
Tony Barbroni's son.
Brian. Brian and Kellen's been good friends for a long time. So when I was at Oklahoma, our first year in the Big 12, A&M played all their games in this old arena called G. Raleigh White, and their head coach was named Tony Baroni. And then maybe that year or the next year, next couple of years, their starting point guard was Brian Baroni, who was tough as nails. I remember we came from behind to beat them in Norman one night when one of my kids just dove on the fact they had a breakaway, and if they make the layup, they win. We had a kid just kind of do a Ramon Walker versus Wichita State dive and tip the ball out of bounds, and the horn blew before the ball went out of bounds, so we won the game. But don't know a lot about the team yet. I just got done with speaking and media stuff over at the Post-Oak. I'll go and watch some film a little bit tonight, dig more into them tomorrow, and then we'll get ready to play. You know, this time of year, everything's if I'm not mistaken, this is my 20th year taking a team to the tournament, and I've approached every tournament the same. It's a one-game season.
Not to get ahead on this, but Gonzaga is sitting right there, potential second round. They're 8 in the net and are an 8 seed. What's the point of the net if a team like Gonzaga is so far down?
No, I have no idea. I saw Georgia play a couple times this year. I've seen Gonzaga and St. Mary's play. I'm not really familiar enough with any of those teams to have an opinion of them. You know, in this business, you know, Galen can speak to this, is that, you know, we never look ahead. That's for the experts and the pundits to do. You know, somebody asked me one time about my word about this game versus another game. I don't know another game. I only know the one we're playing. Some people may like it. Some people don't. The ones that don't, I just promise you they'll get over it.
Galen.
Coach, I got to ask you, I remember tons of life lessons. And it was sometimes through your darkest days come your brightest light. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to know, what was your mindset after starting off this season? Well, I think it was 4-3, and you know, you got certain people writing you off and whatnot. What was your mindset?
Galen, first of all, do you really think I give a shit about
I know you don't.
People writing us off?
You know, Coach, I know that, but the people who are listening, they don't. So it's like
they'll get over it. They always do. You know, before we went to Vegas, we had a scrimmage with Ole Miss in Shreveport. The day before we left, JVR had a serious groin injury, and he wound up missing 19 days of practice. So if you go from October 26th, I think that was the date, I could be wrong, whatever that Saturday was in late October. If you go 19 days, backed up to the Auburn game. He wasn't ready to play in the Auburn game. He wasn't ready to play in Vegas. The other thing was Milo's broke his nose. Now, some people can break their nose and get it shoved back into place, but he had surgery. So he was out of practice 21 days. So most people don't know what they don't know. You know, if you're on the inside, you know all the facts. You know, Milo's was a shell of who we thought he would be in November. I think he fouled out of the Auburn game, fouled out of the Alabama game, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he might have fouled out from the San Diego State game. We let the we beat Notre Dame, but trust me, we were terrible in that game too. But our team was forming. You know, when in your years, you know, we didn't play those teams early, but because of NIL, we have no choice. You know, we don't have the luxury of having someone back us in NIL, so a lot of the fundraising for that falls to our basketball program. When I got pitched the opportunity to go to Vegas, it didn't matter who we played; it was $1 million, and we needed that. Now we could have lost all 3 games; wouldn't have mattered to me. November is November. It's not February. It's not March. You know, a lot of years we've been 13-0, 12-1, but we didn't. The only reason that team was 13-0 is because we didn't play Alabama, the number 1 team in the nation, the number 3 team in the nation, and then I think San Diego State was ranked back then. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but yeah, you know, when you're a coach, you don't ever overreact to wins or losses in November. The game we played when we got back was Butler, and so I don't think we spent a lot of time talking about losing a game. You know, our charge, our responsibility was just keep practicing. We needed to practice. You know, the tough thing about Vegas, and I was talking to Dana Altman and to Buzz about this, is we all left to go out there on a Monday. I think we played Tuesday. So you're out there from Monday to Saturday, and you don't get to practice. You know, you can't practice. We couldn't fix our mistakes. We just and we were horseshit against. We're up on Alabama. The Alabama game we could have easily won. I mean, we called timeout, take the last shot. LJ had a decent look at it, and he missed it. If it goes in, all of a sudden we're a good team because we missed a shot or made a shot. No, we were a growing team. So we could have easily lost the Alabama game. Then all of a sudden the narrative's different. Notre Dame game, played good enough to win. They weren't very good, and neither were we. Then the San Diego State game, we're up 40-28 or 40-29. I think we're up 11 or 12 at one point in that game in the second half. And we just couldn't finish. But, you know, and I've said this to the media here many, many times. November basketball is November basketball. You're wasting your time evaluating it. Doesn't matter. I mean, really, it literally does not matter. Your team will have been formed by Christmas. Christmas break, I usually know what our team's going to look like. Because obviously I'm working with them every day and I can see their ceiling. I thought we had a high ceiling in November, but that ceiling had the weight. You know, you don't get to skip steps on the ladder. You have to hit every step. And some of those steps have landmines. You may blow up. But I thought the Auburn game helped us. I thought the Alabama game helped us. I thought the San Diego State game helped us. The Butler game, the way they defended us was probably what we needed because they allowed Milos to get going a little bit because they dropped their coverage. And, you know, as a point guard, Galen, that allows you to get in the paint. And then from there, it becomes making decisions. But when we recruited Milos last April, of course, I don't look at stats. Stats tell no story. Right. You know, Malik Wilson making that 3 the other day. If you're going to judge that kid based on a stat, then you know little to nothing about that kid. He's not a stat guy. You know, he's a winner. Winners hit big shots. Now he may miss that shot in the first half. He may miss that shot early in the second. Look how many of those shots he makes at the end. So what stats got to do with it? Milos was the same way. I checked. I had one of my video guys check this, and you were like this too, Galen. How many times at the end of a shot clock, at the end of a half, or at the end of the game, does the point guard have to jack up a vomit 3 to beat the clock. You take all those out and just look at his catch and shoot threes, you could tell Milos was going to be a good shooter. But the uneducated and uninitiated looked at his stats and said, well, he's a bad shooter. Well, no, he's not. He was never a bad shooter. Oklahoma team got put in a lot of late clock situations, and guess who had the ball at the end of the clock?
Yeah.
In the NBA, those guys won't shoot it. They pass it to somebody else because they don't want the stat.
Yeah, bomb.
James Harden's got the ball at the end of the clock. He always threw it to Pat Beverly. So Pat Beverly heaved it up from half court. James never shot that. That's one of the reasons why he saved his percentage. So, but we also put Milos' shot under a microscope. When I look at someone shooting, I look at it in slow motion. You know, I look to see where the ball is on his hand. I look to see if there's a gap between the ball and the palm. I look to see whether the ball rolls off clean. I look to see if his left hand has too much pressure. You know, too much offhand pressure creates a funny spin on the ball. But his form was good. He just needed to needed some confidence and reps, and that's where Coach Q was the best in the business. You know, so we thought he could be a 40% three-point shooter here. We thought he was a guard that needed to be more competitive. And he probably needed a stubborn old coach to get the best out of him too. You know, being good is hard. It's really hard to be good. Coming into work every day, there is no off days. You know, that's attitude. You know, your attitude has to be right. So when we left Vegas, he was still, I think he wore that mask right up until we left. Then he took the mask off. Remember, he had surgery.
Yeah.
He had surgery. So he was still feeling the effects of the surgery. He was a little bit tentative in crowds. He didn't want to do this, do that. So we had to be patient with him. But, you know, LJ and Emmanuel, Javier, J1, JoJo, those guys were so dependent on the way we played with Jamal. So it wasn't easy for him. But, you know, you and Ronnie started this thing, and then it became yours, and then you handed it off to Dejan. And then we brought in Jamal. Jamal wasn't good enough to play as a freshman. I didn't let him play. But Dejan handed it off to Jamal. Whoever became the next point guard was ready. Milos didn't have anybody to hand it to him. Yeah. He had to take all the bullets. He was catching all the strays. And some of them were up his nostril, through his eyeball, and one ear out, and the next was in his clavicle and his scapula and his. He was getting shot all over the place. Mm-hmm. He didn't have a chance to have a smooth transition. So inside the bunker, we kind of knew where we were headed. So once we got to the Big 12. He really played good in Stillwater. Then he had a couple of bumpy games, and then he started to catch his. He caught his groove. He caught his groove about mid to late January, and by the time we got to February, he was on the right path. Mm-hmm. But he couldn't play in February the way he played in November. He was going to be bad in November. Mm-hmm. He wasn't the scrimmage against Ole Miss, he wasn't very good in that scrimmage. I think I spent half the scrimmage screaming at him because it was soft. Yeah. But he got tougher. The kid that went to Kansas that had 17-9-9, that's not easy to do in that place.
No turnovers.
No turnovers. But you know what it's like as a point guard here. We don't turn it over, mm-hmm. You know. But the biggest thing was just his aggressiveness. He was not used to playing aggressive. You know, in the month of June, you know, I get him on Thursdays and Fridays. Kellen runs the 4-on-4 thing, but I'm there coaching the team. He's just running it. thing I noticed about him the first 2 or 3 Thursdays is, and I stopped practice one time and started getting on him. I said, son, I haven't seen you foul yet. We foul here. You ain't fouling. I mean, are you afraid of contact? Are you afraid you're going to get hit in the face? I mean, what's the problem? So I told Malik when he gets the ball, foul the shit out of it. Just take it from him. And I said, when Malik's got the ball, I'd advise you, Milos, to do the same thing to him. Now, we can always back you off, but I'd rather have a team that I got to tone down than have a team I have to tune up. You know, Cougar basketball is Cougar basketball. Now, whoever the next coach is after I leave, he'll coach it the way he wants to, and his players will play the way he wants them to play. But I'm the coach here now, and they'll play the way I want them to play, or you got to adjust. You know, and he did. The thing that Milos had going for him was 2 things: is he never bucked up about anything. His character and his integrity is off the charts. I told his father, you know, is heavily involved in his life. And I said, that's your son, do whatever you want, but understand there ain't but one coach. You know, we're not going to have discussions. Parents don't come to practice. Don't call me about how's it going. I don't take questions or calls from parents. I'll talk to them about their social adjustment. I'll talk to them about academics. I'll talk about some stuff they may be going through or that I may need to know about in his life. But I don't discuss basketball with anybody but that kid. So his dad and his mom are unbelievable parents. I gave them both a big hug yesterday in Kansas City after we won the championship. And, you know, they're both in tears thanking me for what I've done for Milos. But I said, look, give your son the credit. Don't give it to me. He's the one that put in the work. He's the one that made the sacrifices. I'm not coaching him any different than I coached you, Galen. I'm not coaching him any different than I did Marcus Sasser. Marcus Sasser tried to quit on me in September. He called his mother. His mother told him he better start reading that ink on his body.
That's what I'm talking about.
Everybody's got all these sayings and this stuff. His mother says, you better start reading that ink you got on your body. Yeah. So, but all the credit goes to Milos. Unbelievable kid. He's learned how to compete. He's changed his life. And he'll play basketball and make a living at it for a long, long time.
So, Coach, I got another one. How much do you think that having guys around those who've experienced winning at a high level, LJ himself winning a national title, how do you think that helped him adjust? Because, you know,
I go back to this, Galen. That's why he came here. Mm-hmm. He chose us. We chose him, but he chose us. And he played against us. So he sat down and watched film. You know, this ain't 1970s where you're not on TV. Every game we play is on national TV. Now, whether it's ESPN Plus or CBS or ESPN, you can watch us play every night. We've been a 1 seed now for 3 years. We've been ranked in the top 25 longer than any basketball program in America. That's how long we've been good. So he knew what he was getting into, but he chose that. He knew what I was like as a coach. He chose that too. He knew what his teammates were going to be like. He chose that too. So let's give him some credit. It's easy to go somewhere where maybe the demands aren't as demanding, where the expectations may not be as high, where every day is going to be a challenge. But I remember when Quentin Grimes came on his visit, I said, Quentin, you and I are going to spend a lot of time together, but don't ask me questions about the team. I'm not one of those coaches that's going to tell you what you want to hear. You need to talk to the players, man. Then make your decision based on what they say. You know, we've been really good here, and if you come here, we'll be really good again. If you don't come, we're still going to be good. So you're not going to make us or break us. You decide to come here based on what you're looking for. So He spent most of his time with Dejan and Marcus, Jamal, Bryson, Fabian. And I saw him at the end, and I said, "You get your questions answered?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Anything you want to ask me?" So he asked me a couple of questions, but I could tell that this is where he wanted to go, because this is where his mother and father wanted him to be.
Mm-hmm.
Just like your mother wanted you to be here. You were ready to commit to me on that booty ass office I had over there with that Walmart couch that I used to have with that fake leather. until Marlon screwed it up. Am I right or wrong?
Hey, you speak facts, man. You speak facts.
Galen's getting ready to commit. Marlon goes, whoa. We're going to talk about this. There ain't nothing to talk about. That boy knows where he's going. Quit tripping.
Hold on, so
all right.
I got one more. I gotta ask. So, what was it about Los in particular? Because he's been playing out of his mind. What was it about him that allowed you to think that he can run your program, be the starting point guard for your program, and to follow after a guy like Jamal Shiv?
Well, the one thing that successful coaches are really good at, Galen, and there's a lot of them, is they're really good at evaluations. Remember, I'm not a fan. I'm not a media person. I do this for a living. I eat it. I breathe it. I sleep it. I go to bed thinking about it. I get up in the morning thinking about it. I know exactly what it is I'm looking for at that position. It's not that I haven't made mistakes with bigs in the past, but I don't ever make mistakes on point guards. That's why we've only had 3 here in 10 years. We didn't make a mistake with you. We didn't make a mistake with Dejan. We did not make a mistake with Jamal, and we did not make a mistake with Milos. But for me to tell you exactly what I saw and how I evaluate.
Let me get you, Coach. It'd be like trying to explain the Atlantic Ocean to someone who's never seen water.
Or if I took the back of a Timex watch off and explained to you how all them things work, that'd be a 1-2. So I just know what I'm looking for when it comes to point guards. But I always get a kick out of people when they walk up to me and ask me, "Did you know he was going to be that good?" It's amazing.
Duh. Oh, man.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Okay.
And good luck this week.
Okay. Thank you, guys. And hopefully I'll see you down the road. You guys be good.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
It's Kelvin Samson. So he came out of a meeting. They're meeting about SIU
Ryan.
Edwardsville.
Ryan, that was 3 questions. That shit took.
Did we ask 3? I thought he talked for 20 minutes on the one.
Straight.
I thought he was about to walk us through Montana Tech in 1984, explain game by game. I got a lot more about Vegas than I thought I'd get.
I can listen to guys like Coach,
man,
all day long.
It's
just all day long.
Man, I could listen to him talk all day because it's just like I remember when he was recruiting me, the way he tells a story, it's such great imagery. But I'll never forget. He was like, "Galen, I'm not gonna give you nothing. If you come here, you're gonna have to earn whatever you get, because when you earn it, nobody can take it away."
That's right.
And it's just like, man, was he 100% on that? It's like Coach keeps it a buck with you, good, bad, or indifferent. Sometimes he's too real.
He's going to be so real. He's going to check in and say, "Are you sure you're enough for this? Sure? Are you sure that you like this?"
Man.
Goat, the GOAT, a living legend on the live.
You know,
he's been with us before.
We talk about Milos, and you know, my favorite thing is watching these players develop over the year and over their careers. Milos has developed.
He's
so
in the
much.
microwave.
Well, he's done it so much. It's like he's been here. He's gone through 2 years of development. I mean, I looked at literally it's night and day. When you look at the first 17 games of the season, he shot 42% from the floor, 35% from three, and averaged 8 points, 8.8 points. In the next 17, once you get into conference, it was, I think, let me see.
Oh, God.
Utah is when he kicked it into gear. The last 17 games of the season, he ended up shooting 48% from three, 49% from the floor,
That's not
14
bad.
points. And also his number of shots went up from 8 to 10 per game. And it's just amazing how once he felt comfortable and once he fit in, he really, really, really fit in.
And it's kind of similar to what happened with Maul is in non-conference, I think he might have averaged 9.5 points, and then you go to Big 12 play, he tearing shit up. So it's just
it's like in the first half of the season, they both were trying to play
even J1 too. He in non-conference, he ain't worth the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Kansas on the road. You gonna see some J1 now. But
yeah,
it get real.
But Jamal and Milos both just a marked difference of not just the fact that their production went up, but the way that they played is because they both started the season as being distributors and trying to be the pure point guard, and then when the time came, they were not afraid to basically step up and take their shot and hunt their shot when it was available. It's amazing to see that progress from day one, all in one season, day one to now, all in one season.
Usually it takes a year or so to have the type of growth that Los has had, but when you got a guy like Q and you've had examples before you that you can watch and kind of imitate and mimic and kind of put your own twist to it, as you know, with your own strengths and whatnot, that's a cheat code, man. Because one thing our coaches aren't going to do, their standards are going to remain the same. And you make this you will live up to those standards. You are going to meet that. They're going to make sure you meet that shit. So it's just like, we ain't changing, so you got to rise to the occasion. And it's just, Los, he has exceeded. I can only imagine mentally how much the injury and, 4-3 and how much shit that he was probably eating, how he probably felt. Yeah. Man, that is, and to disregard all that and to keep working, stay on your trajectory, and to be where he is now. He's a fucking all tournament. Like, that is, the kid can hoop. And it's just like, I'm getting on the bandwagon now, like with Fran Fraschilla. It's like, shit, if he play like this in March,
he's going to have to make decisions.
It's going to come to a decision. Because shit.
Good for him.
Man.
Go ahead.
Shout out to Kelvin for being the first person to ever use the word clavicle on any of our shows. When he was giving you the full body on where Milos is taking shots, I thought we were going to go for an hour on that. Go ahead, Brad.
But think of it from Milos, just kind of through his eyes. Yesterday, he makes the all-tournament team, wins the Big 12 title, and 2 years ago, he was playing on OU, and they were dead freaking last. So he's seen the bottom of this conference, now the top. That's a hell of a journey.
So is his gameplay.
Yeah.
It's it's not easy to get that much better in that short of a time period. I don't think people really realize how hard that is to do. Like,
I mean, I really have a hard time wrapping my head around how much better he has gotten.
Mm-hmm.
And,
you should have asked him about, can you believe that he got this much better?
I mean, shit, I wanted to, but damn, every question was 15.
But I think he pretty much answered that.
He did. That's why I wanted.
Because he's probably going to say, Well, hell yeah, and he's not where I think he can be.
Yeah. But
Do you think this is all he's got? Just wait.
yeah. And I'll never forget. I think it was a show early on. I think it might have been around the time they had the red white scrimmage. Or maybe I'm tripping. But remember, I was in that gym the night before, and Los was in there getting shots up, and I was just like, he gets it. Like, it's not going to be a surprise whenever he has success. Granted, I didn't think it was going to come. I didn't think his success was going to be that quick in a matter of months. But whenever I saw him in the gym, he probably shot like 300-400 shots, makes. And it's just like, you're getting Samsonized. Like, that is what is required. And it's just those same shots that he was making yesterday were the same ones that he was shooting when I seen him on the gun. So he put in the work and the time to make all those shots.
Somebody wrote it today, maybe yesterday. I think it might have been Chris Baldwin at Paper City, talking about Milos during the summer, and he felt like Qantas was on his ass. Like, why are you? What did I do wrong? Why do you hate me? And Qantas was like, no, you just need hard coaching. This is what you get. If you want the results that you say you want, this is what has to happen first.
Now, Ryan,
and
I don't think you realize how much whenever Q I hated him.
No, 100%.
He gave me no choice but to get better. And it's just like, fuck, I would just want to stay in my fucking comfort zone, bro. Get off my back. And it's just, but like I said, Q, he's willing to meet you wherever you want to go. So if you want to get fit, wherever you want to go, he's willing to take it there. So it's just like that, the standard that he upheld for our guards. Granted, Goldie played in the NBA, but Q played for Coach Samson. And that is drastically different because Q has it's just a little different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Q gets it.
There's a gravitas to him.
Yeah.
That you can't replicate. You can't just, okay, I'm going to do that. He's got it from living this for 25 years.
Yeah.
We're going to go through some comments real quick. Thanks for the ride, Coach. How does the GOAT feel about Star Pizza? That was the next question. I swear to you, it was the next question. Just had to get him out. They told us about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because he walked out of his staff meeting to come do our thing, which was very kind, and we appreciate it. And as you saw, as soon as we were done, he jumped out of that chair and was heading back into the conference room.
They got you.
So we appreciate him. Thanks, Coach, for being such a wonderful mentor to our awesome young men. You make an alumnus so proud. Let's go louder for the people in the back, Coach. Galen, are we still on the first question?
Yeah, it was. He damn near answered a lot of shit that. He
answered all the questions.
When you ask him something, he just takes your imagination for a ride. And
the two questions that I had written down, he answered.
Yeah. So it's never short-winded with him.
Ooh. Yoda has left. Goat. That man loves to yap, and I'm here for it. Such a wealth of knowledge.
Facts.
I can't believe there are real life people who think that dude is mean. I think that dude is mean, but I think he does it the right way. He's not like an asshole about it.
Hey. You don't reach that level of greatness without having a certain level of sternness, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean,
the thing is that he may or may not be. I don't know, but because I'm used to coaches like that. And that's the best coaches I've had in my life have all been exactly like that.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people don't want to hear the truth, and they want everything sugar coated. That's fine. That's understandable. But I'm one who I didn't learn anything unless I was told in no uncertain terms.
He's going to tell you the truth. It's almost like if it was life or death, and for him to live, he had to lie. He gonna die because he gonna tell you the truth. He gonna tell you the truth 100 times out of 100. But it's just like I just want to 3 number 1 seeds, and we've been ranked along. Like, who would have ever thought that our program would amount to that, or at least achieve that? You know, that's kind of crazy to wrap your head around. At least me, because I just remember like vividly, like.
You remember it the way we remember it. You saw it before.
My entire family telling me not to go there. You know, and it's just like for it to get to this.
That's pretty cool.
That's fucking crazy. Like, that's fucking crazy. And to sit here and say, like, I think it was Texas Tech or their coach I had watched his post-game presser, and he was just like, they are this, they are that. And it's just like, a few years ago, we couldn't even hold Tech's jockstrap, and now we're their measuring stick. Like, how that's crazy, man. But that's not skipping steps, and that's doing all the work, and that's where it gets you.
I mean,
your senior year to now, you've won 9 titles in 7 years. You are 2-10-35 in that stretch. 86.5% winning percentage. There's nobody in the country doing that. And
it's higher in the Big 12. That is crazy.
Kelvin says that, he had a conversation with his dad, Mr. Ned, and his dad told him, you need to go get a college job. You're not right for the NBA. And so Kelvin and Karen agreed we needed to take a program. And, U of H never felt like a program. It felt like a team this year, a team that year, a team the next year. We'll just see who's here. And he's made this a program. I mean, this feels like it's going to go for years and years more. And it's because of one guy. And is he an asshole? Maybe, but he's the asshole that made this happen. If you could have had a nice guy in James Dickey, or you can have a guy that just stacks rings. I think the ring stuff is a little more fun.
Personally,
yeah, I mean, why not? He did throw you for a loop there. Whoever takes over next, thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah. You raise the bar higher you can get to. Again, I think he's talking to Kelvin, but I'm going to say he's talking to me. Sure. I go to the tip-off dinner. Yeah, I mean, we just got Kelvin on selection Sunday.
No, I think that's a huge coup.
Yeah. Working our sources.
Good job, Ryan.
Tip-off dinner.
I can compliment you.
Roy. The name is Roy, asshole.
Roy Monceaux.
I go to the tip-off dinner every year, and I say every time after he speaks, I could listen to him for hours. Well, when he starts speaking, you pretty much have to listen to him for hours.
Right.
When the thing that I like the most about it is that there are people who are just yappers, who are just going to talk and not say a whole lot. But when he's talking, he's teaching.
Yeah.
And you're getting something from it. And the way he's able to communicate, he can communicate very difficult things in very simple terms. And that's a gift.
My best coaches were assholes.
Of course.
Yeah. Galen, I feel like you appreciate it more than most because you saw all the before, not pictures. He was at those games. You believed before we believed. And I always love you for that. That's why you are the godfather.
Appreciate that. But one thing about Coach, I was recruited a decent amount, but every time I called Coach and I spoke, granted, it was probably for 50 minutes minimum. But every time we spoke, I learned something. Whether it was about perspective, life, being a young man, he always taught me something every time we were on the phone. And there was a level of trust because I felt like he had my best interest because whatever he was saying, I believed and it was true. So, but hats off to Coach because he's the same guy that he was when he recruited me. Like the recipe is still the same, the formula is still the same, and the proof is in the pudding.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that the path to success never changes.
Yeah. I'll never forget. Coach is so real. I'll never forget this. Because Coach Samson, I got to tell this story. He's going to break you at some point in time. So I remember we were playing at SMU my freshman year. I think they were top 12, top 10. They were the only undefeated team in the nation. And he felt like Rob wasn't. I think Coach Kell told this earlier. He felt like Rob wasn't playing hard. So he benched Rob Gray. And granted, Rob was probably averaging 17, 18 points at a pretty good clip. And he had said, he wrote on his player card, like on his little play card that he has all his plays and his actions and stuff, whatever happens, don't put Rob in the game. And it's just, when you're a coach and you're willing to go to that, granted, if Rob would have played, there was a good chance we could have won that game, and we could have had our first ever ranked win at the University of Houston since, during Coach Samson, my tenure. But to go to that level of extreme just to get your point across, that's why he's a GOAT. You're arguably not going to play your best player because it's like, I have to make an example out of him so I can save our program. That's tough.
I will be forever grateful for hearing Coach out when he literally begged us students to go to games. That was great. Exclusive access. Gee, has your family ever told you they were wrong and that you did the right thing by coming here?
Can y'all hear this little music going on?
No.
Okay, cool. My cousin, who was in my ear the most about it, he went to U of H, and he did apologize for his stance. But my mom, she was always, my mom, my grandma, my grandpa, they were always very supportive of me going there. Granted, my mom, she probably would have preferred me go to TCU because it was all diamonds and gold and whatnot. But she was willing to support me wherever I went. And I don't know if there was ever a home game that she missed when she wasn't wearing her number 25 earrings. She was a ride or die. She is a ride or die. So all the family support that I needed once I made my decision, it was there, and they were there the whole way, and they still are.
That's pretty cool.
Right.
That day, the day at SMU, was the day that the program was born.
And Ryan, I'm talking, we was hooping. And I'm just sitting there thinking in my head, like, why the fuck is he not putting Rob in the game? But he had jumped Rob ass the night before at that shoot around, boy. I was feeling bad. Like, I'd never seen Rob cry. And it happened only one time. And that was a time, like, it was crazy. But that happening, a light clicked for Rob, and that helped our team. Because
he's just so mean.
Was not right, man.
He's so mean.
Man.
Tommy Lloyd called us kings of the Big 12 last night in the post game. What else can he tell you? I mean, you've come in here, you've dropped your anchor and just said, we own this, beat us. And for 14 months, one team has done it in a regular season. That ain't bad. Okay, so our bracket show turned into the Kelvin Samson show. I did love that he said, I never make mistakes recruiting point guards, evaluating point guards. And the point that he and Kellen have made to me over and over on these shows and then in person is that recruiting is not recruiting like you hear about it everywhere else. It's evaluation. You go and you watch and you watch and you watch and you watch film and you talk to your coaches and your staff and you talk to the player and his parents especially. That's a big deal here. You got to have the whole family. You got to have good parents because you don't hear about problems. And there's a reason for it because you don't recruit them. And the evaluation process is longer here. And maybe you don't hear about U of H early on in the recruiting process, and then bam, oh, here you are. You got the number 2 recruiting class in the country. And it's because they're taking their time and they're evaluating. And it's kind of like how the season plays out. November ain't so great. The early recruiting, it doesn't look so good. But by the end, there's rings on those fingers.
And as much as the game has been trying to be forced into some kind of algorithm and make it more of a science and being able to, quantify everything. These guys are consistently able to find the X factor. Okay, nobody knows what it is, but if there's somebody that can identify it, it's our staff, and it's Kelvin. I mean, these guys know what they're looking for, and because I've tried to find out about it, and what stands out to you the most. What do you see in players? Because you'll line up 10 point guards and 10 shooting guards and 10 power forwards, and they're all pretty good. But odds are they're not going to pick the guy that you think that they would pick. They don't see the guy who is great today. They see the guy who they believe can be great in the future. And not only that, they fit what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
Awesome.
And
all right, let's wrap this up.
That.
They figured it out.
Yep.
There's a sauce that they use, and they don't talk about the details of it too terribly much. But there you go. So let's wrap this up. Brad, your final thoughts on the brackets, the draw, what you heard from Kelvin, anything?
The draw is good. Even if we had the toughest, I mean, I don't care if you told me that we're going to have to play all the top 4 to go through to win the national title. Fine. Okay. So be it. Let's do it. Always great to have Coach on. I love to hear it. And I just really looking forward to this. And I can't wait to see this March to Monday and get to that final day, and let's see what happens.
Galen.
Our final thoughts on our draw.
Whatever you want to say. Houston versus everybody.
If you ain't with us, we running over you. Period.
We haven't done it, so let's do it. Oh. Talk to me.
Get them now. OneSubstantial.com.
Got one on the way.
The window to order closes tomorrow. So, hey, man, go and get it.
Get it while it's hot.
Get it while you can, man. Get it
while it's hot.
Yeah. So, but hey, man, I just want to say this again. This is a great crew. This is like fucking NBA TV. We got Shaq, Charles, and Kenny. We got this is some elite shit right here, man. You have to be a part of it.
We miss you, Ernie.
Need me some of them churros.
We're gonna find out about them San Antonio women in a couple weeks. Don't you
I
worry.
hope so.
Oh!
I hope so.
Kelvin has given me time. We've done 90-minute sit-down interviews. He was on our first of the Sunday night shows. He gave us time tonight when, he's got better things to do, to be honest. Kellen has given us hours and hours and hours, probably 15 sit-down interviews and another 50 off the record conversations. Lauren Sampson joined the No Conference for Old Men podcast this summer.
So tough.
This family has given us so much as a fan base and also to what we do here. We're going to sit Karen down for about 4 hours, and I'm going to have her explain to you about her view and how she does things. And she's been filling me in on road trips, and it's been so awesome. She has this collection of cups from Arby's from the 1970s. That's maybe my favorite conversation I've ever had with anybody, except that we looked them up while we were sitting there on eBay, and now that's all I get is ads for these Arby's cups from the 1970s. But they have been so good to us, and everybody in this program has been great to us. And it's so cool that we get to do things like this. There's never been a thing like this. And here we are 2 hours in on a Sunday night. And we've done 4 nights in a row, which it doesn't really feel like it, but we have.
I can't believe you guys aren't sick of us yet.
Yeah. Well, thank
Everybody
God.
in chat.
But we appreciate all of you for spending this time with us. We're gonna ramp the content up this week. I'm traveling to Wichita, I think Wednesday, and we appreciate it. We appreciate everybody. Great show tonight. I love big women. Churros. I want that cookie recipe. I don't think you're getting the cookie recipe. That is probably not happening. Love it. Thank you, fellas. Thank you all so much for joining us. GoCoogs.com. One substantial. You got one more day. Get those shirts, the brand new ones. Cougfans.com. We'll see y'all soon. Thank you so much for spending your Sunday nights with us.